For the next part of this, we're going to start to develop the attachment on the back of the upper part that will allow the gooseneck to attach to this and rotate as well. Before we do it, just as a matter of good practice, we're going to name our part. So we're just going to rename this lower holder, and then we're also going to rename part 2 as upper holder. Okay, so it makes it much easier when we're talking about things and when we're moving back to old items. If we've been really good, we'd probably name all of these as well. But for now, I think just because we're doing something not too complicated, it's not as important. So we're going to start our sketch on here to create our holder, and we're going to do it using a revolve feature, but also create it as part of this whole casing. So it's all like an injection moulded part. So it's getting quite complex now. And then there'll be a cover to go over this, which will attach all of the gooseneck part on. So if we look at this from the right hand side, okay, we'll just make it 3D for now. We're going to create it on here. So we're going to revolve it round. So we're going to look at a 2D section of it that we can actually revolve. Okay, so we're going to go on the right, just selecting right on its own, sorry, sketch, and then look at it from the right as well. And we want to come down and create it in this region. So we're just going to create half of it. So half of it at the moment, we're going to revolve around it. So it will come up, imagine that's mirroring this side, revolving all the way. So let's dimension this. So for that edge from the centre is going to be 5mm, and we know that because that was the thickness that we'd extruded this out before. The distance of this to the bottom, we're just going to give it a nominal gap really of 10mm, and then the distance this goes up as well. We want the whole thing to be about 30, so we're going to make it 15, and the amount it sticks out, it's just going to be about 10mm, and it gives us some nice figures to work with. We're then going to create our circle, okay, and it's just going to be a half circle. So start it on this dot here, and we're going to draw it all the way along to about there, and this is just going to be the head of the attachment sitting into here. And then when we dimension that, we're going to dimension the diameter. This symbol here, a circle with a line through it at the beginning, once we press enter you'll see it again. We're going to make this 17.5, which gives it quite a big circle, but also gives it a gap here as well. So you can see this circle with a line through it means diameter. Okay, we're then just going to use our trim tool to get rid of some of the parts that we no longer need. So that's all of these here, and that is our bit, and we're going to revolve it. We've got an edge there that we can revolve around, so that all looks good to me. If it's too big, we can go back and edit it later on, and this one looks like it's going to be too big to me at the moment, but we can come back to that in a second, so it should be no problem. And it's just this part that would change. Okay, so we'll click tick, we'll go to revolve, and then it's going to ask us for two things. It's going to ask us for the face that we want to revolve, which is the sketch we've just done. You can either click sketch 9 on here or click on the surface. And then the revolve axes, which is that small line there, that's the line that we want to revolve it around. And then we're going to click tick and pretend that's okay. Brilliant, you can see it's overlapping very slightly, and we don't want that, but we've got that half circle, that half sphere, sorry, in there exactly as we planned. So let's go back in and make this distance a little bit smaller. So let's go back to sketch 9 as edit, and it's this distance here that we're going to reduce. Everything else seems okay. So it's this distance here. So let's dimension. I think this one we dimensioned at 15. So let's change that and we'll make it 10. So taking a whole 5mm off it. It's still leaving enough space there. That's fine. And you can see that's fitting much better in the space. And the diameter that we've got to remember is 17.5, so that we can create that shape going over the top. We now need the other half of this. So once the ball goes into this, we need something to come over the top to hold it all in place. Okay, so we're going to select that same surface again. We're going to click on the sketch function, looking at it from the back, so it makes it a little bit easier, and we're going to draw a circle from the centre of the same circle, so you'll get that orange square pop up, and we're going to go out to this ring here. We'll dimension, we're going onto there, and that's 20. Well, that makes perfect sense. Good. Okay, we're then going to do another circle which is a little bit larger. And we're going to dimension that as well at 25mm. Okay, so that's so far so good, and we can finish a sketch. We'll extrude it, and we're actually going to pick it on here now so that we're just getting the donut to extrude, and we can extrude that upwards in here, no problems at all. Okay, once we're kind of happy with this, we're just going to make that 20 because we don't need it sticking out that far. Let's look at it from the right hand side. It might be even less that makes sense for us. Let's try 15mm, and we can click tick. So this part is going to be a separate part. So you can see that we've added it to the old one. We need to go back in and change that. So right click on extrude, edit, and we're going to change it to a new part. Okay, so this is now going to be renamed as the gooseneck holder. We've got a few bits to do, so let's click on this surface, and we're going to extrude a disc in here to make it more of a solid shape before we then essentially cut part of this away again. So we're going to start a sketch, draw a circle from the centre, so when you get the square that's fine. We draw that circle and we're going to dimension it as well, and that was 25. Now when we click tick, we can extrude it, sketch 11, but this time we want to go the other way, and we're just going to go for 5mm. Okay, the merge scope, so we're adding it, the merge scope is with the gooseneck holder only, and it'll go blue. So let's look at that now from the right hand side. I'm going to change here in my options, shaded with hidden edges, and you can see how it's intersecting. So you can see it's just meeting the top of this, which is exactly where we want it to. And we're going to click tick on that. Okay, so it's like it's blocked it off at the moment, but if we were to hide this holder, you can see it's still there, perfect. Okay, and if we were to hide everything else, you could see in the holder we've got a nice hollow. So let's unhide all of that, and now we're going to create the cutaway to hold the sphere before putting a hole in it, and it will all start to make sense, I hope. So let's look at it from the right hand side. We're going to actually sketch on the right work plane, and this is going to be a subtraction from the gooseneck. So we're going to draw in here a circle that matches the one that we've already got perfectly. So let's start to dimension this. Our diameter, if we remember, was 17.5, and then we need the distance of that to be 0, so it's starting in exactly the right place, and the distance from the centre to this line as well, if I can get the line to select properly, is going to be 20, and you can see it matches perfectly now. We're going to cut that in half so that we've got a line to revolve around, and we actually want that from the middle to the outer edge, and then we're going to go select the line again and go from the middle to the other outer edge the other side. So we've got one line going across. Use your scissors or your trim tool, and we'll cut away that half of the circle. Now we click tick, and we're going to go to revolve. Revolve, it'll ask you to select the face, go to sketch 12, and the axes, which is either of those vertical lines there. We'll just rotate so we can see it, and along the top here we want remove, and you can see it's gone red. Merge scope is with the gooseneck holder, and it will cut that away exactly how we want it. So let's click tick on that, and now it doesn't look that different, but if we unhide lower and upper, you can see that we've actually got that really intricate design there that will stop the sphere where the gooseneck attaches from falling out and allow it to pivot round. So a clever little bit of design just to hold that in place, and quite a complex part. So if you're able to model that quite well, then we're on to a winner.